ladies and boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only turbo coin. But listen, people, listen very, very carefully, okay? Look, I know I've seen some comments, over the last couple of days and stuff saying, look, man, you say a lot of the same stuff. Not much changes, but it's like, guys, you have to realize, right, that I report the technical analysis and the news for turbo, but you have to realize turbo's at a state where there's not always going to be something brand new every day, every other day, multiple times a week, right? And in terms of technical analysis, right, if I, let's just say, consistently upload every 24 hours, okay, then there's only so much that can happen, right, in the charts, right? Like literally only 20 to 24 hours worth of data I can report on that has come out and has changed if I'm doing daily content. So it's kind of a common sense thing, right? It's kind of a common sense thing. But this is one of those things where you guys don't always have to just sit and watch the videos. You could just, kind of treat this like a podcast sometimes. Simply just leave it, leave the video playing while it's, in your earbuds or out loud or however you do it, and just listen. And if something catches your attention, then you can always go back a couple of seconds and then actually look at the video. Okay. It is just, that's just the way things are when it comes to daily content. Of course, look, when we're going to be doing daily content, when it's going to be in its peak, right? When altcoin season is going to start to brew, and then we're actually going to be in altcoin season, and then we're going to be the peak of altcoin season, and then everything's going to be selling off after. Those are going to be like the most exciting days. There's going to be so much new information consistently, especially within the charts. So much volume, so much this, so much that. All right, then of course it's gonna be super, super exciting. These times, I get it, they're a little bit more boring, they're more stagnant, but I know you guys, for the most part, do appreciate the daily videos. Okay, so look, ladies and gentlemen, right? With all that being said, let's dive into, what Turbo has been up to. Now, I'm looking on Twitter on the side of Turbo, and I don't see anything new, so there's nothing worth covering there. But right away, in terms of technical analysis, I can tell you I'm liking the way things are looking right now. I really, really am, okay? When we go look at the daily, we can see, we talked about how there was a huge volume. There's a huge candlestick on Monday. And we practically said it was the biggest candlestick we've had in about a couple of weeks, right? In a couple of weeks. And we said, look, this is truly potential reversal signs, and we were waiting for confirmation. And as of right now, this looks really good. It's not technically confirmed just yet, but as of right now, this looks really, really good. And you're probably wondering, well, why? Okay, well, if we break this down, right, we take away the wicks and we just look at the daily charts, boom, if we can see, all right, we have a high over here. We could even go even higher up here. It doesn't really matter, all right, because you guys will get the point in just a second. But you can see the blue candles are the buys, okay? So we're looking at where they're closing, and we can see over here, we closed at 0.0038. Then over here, we closed at 0.0037. Over here on the 24th, we closed at 0.003689. So we're closing consistently lower. And what else were we doing? Well, we're also creating lower and lower lows, right? Lower lows consistently. But here's the thing, people, okay? We are looking to potentially flip. And the reason why I say potentially is because as of right now, we do have this low and we have a higher low, okay? So boom, we have one step done, where we are creating a higher low, which is the potential sign of reversal. And step number two is, right, we have these lows over here, or sorry, these highs that are getting lower, but we can see price action is, as of right now, currently still below the 0.00368. But what's happening also is that we are getting squished from both sides, right? If this is getting higher and this is consistently getting lower, then eventually we have to make our choice, okay? So look, it falls onto a few things. For me, the main thing is Bitcoin, okay? Because Turbo itself for me is bullish as of right now. It really is. And Bitcoin, it honestly, it was struggling in the last 2 days, but it hasn't shown any sell-off signs. Okay, we can see that every time we actually go up, right, we kind of just consolidate, sell off. Then we go up, kind of go sideways, sell off, right? Sideways, sell off. Here it wasn't so much, but it still kind of was sideways, sell off, right? We tap, boom. But this time, we're kind of going sideways, but it's more, it seems like we're looking to actually build a support instead of selling off, which is extremely important because for something like Bitcoin, we talked about how the 3-month candle is closing and how a close like this is actually really, really healthy and important for Bitcoin, for altcoins, for Turbo. Okay, so things are looking great, right? The monthly doesn't look that wow. The monthly doesn't look that wow, I'm being honest, but the 3-month looks great. The weekly looks great. And, the last few dailies look like they're trying to hold and go up higher instead of just selling off, doing a typical thing when they go sideways and sell off. Okay, so we have a few days left and we will really, really know by then 100%, right? But assuming Bitcoin does hold its own and it does respect these areas of 108,000 and continues to go up, then ladies and gentlemen, something like Turbo, right? This thing is going to start reversing. Okay, it really, really is. Now, the 3-month candle, talked about it before a little bit. It's not, the most ideal, but it did complete its step, right? We sold off a 3-month order block, and now we're looking to be recovering. So when we do start pumping up and recovering, right, we should be smashing past the 0.0066 zone the next time we're pumping. Like we should, really, really easily. The next real point of resistance is going to be practically 1 cent. Okay, 1 cent is the next real point of resistance. We also talked about how, we're entering very nicely into this monthly order block, which is also on top of this big support, right? So we expect, right, if this holds very well, and as of right now, it's looking really good, right? The last thing we want is the last 2 to 3 days of June to be an extreme sell-off, okay? Because that would not be ideal. But if it holds more or less the same or it pumps, ladies and gentlemen, expect a beautiful, beautiful summer. Okay, I know some people are saying summer's going to be slow, summer's going to be this, but no, expect a beautiful summer. And you'll see, right? If we get the confirmation and we're trending the way we are, everyone in hindsight would have said, well, guys, you could have bought at this big support zone. Okay, just remember this, because people will be saying that. Okay, we will cover some of the basics, right? We will cover some of the basics as we always do. We can see we are rank 159. Very, very nice. Volume really, really low, right? 22.6 million volume, 252 million market cap. And, you know what? For me, usually when volume slows down, that is usually a sign of reversals, right? Because you have high volume here and there. Things are kind of selling off, but they go from selling off to going sideways. And next thing you know, it's going to be high volume because we're going to be going up. Okay, so I really do believe things are going to look well. The only way my bias changes is if the last few days of June are terrible. Now, that doesn't mean July, the first week or two, can't be selling off. It can't be a fake out. Remember this, okay? We talked about how with Bitcoin, right? I expected April to start, April, May, and June to be the recovery months. And what happened? They were. But we said in the beginning of April, there's probably going to be manipulation where we go lower and then we go up. And that is exactly what happened. This was before we followed global liquidity. Okay. This was just based off pure technical analysis and pure knowledge off of the markets. Okay. So yeah, look, as of right now, we are almost at all-time high holders. Look, ladies and gentlemen, right? I told you, right? No need to worry about the holders. No need to worry about everything. I'm very, very optimistic. I still believe this coin will be hitting, at least 10 cents this cycle. Some people are calling me crazy. Some people think, oh, we're lucky if we're going to even hit back to a cent, back to 2 cents. Guys, I'm telling you, you just don't understand that everything moves in bursts, and altcoin season is going to be the craziest time of your lives. Okay. Right now is the time to get emotionally stable. Now is the time to really ground yourself, to really pay attention, to watch people that are, educated, that don't just flip-flop 24/7. And yeah, Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to join the private community, highly recommend so. You get a portfolio review, and of course, you get advanced technical analysis, as well as educational videos, and a lot of callouts that have been hitting. But yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys did enjoy. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.